bombs and kill everyone in them. It's been this way for 8 days and nights."
Once again he waved the advertisement from the newspaper, this time at the assistant manager.
"Yet you boast of having the strongest underground shelter in London here at the Savoy, with every luxury. We only want one luxury, to stay alive when the bombs fall. And that shouldn't be a luxury. It should be the right of everyone to be able to get shelter, not just the rich."
And the small man glared at the tall Swiss challengingly. Hofflin returned his stare, then nodded and turned to the doorman. "There is no reason why these people should not have the same shelter as the Savoy's guests. Let them in." With that, he stepped to one side. Lund Hansen pulled open the main entrance door. At first, the crowd stared, bewildered. This was not what they had expected. Then suddenly a cheer went up, starting at the back of the crowd and echoing around the rest, and the small man stepped forward, leading the way for his comrades into the pristine, luxurious Savoy Hotel. In Hampstead, the corrugated iron Anderson shelter, half buried in the garden of the small block of flats, shuddered but held solid as the bombs fell. 7 people were crammed into the shelter. Detective Chief Inspector Coburg and his wife Rosa, Eric and Norma Henderson, Peter and Dorothy Watts, and widower Walter Marsden. Those bombs were a bit too close, thought Coburg, pulling Rosa close to him in a hug he hoped was reassuring. She nestled into his shoulder. "It'll be fine," she whispered. "The thick layer of earth on top of this thing is doing its job." Who's reassuring who? Thought Coburg. That was one of the things he loved about Rosa, her apparent fearlessness. Not that she didn't get scared. She had told him that when she first began appearing in public as a singer, she sometimes used to vomit in her dressing room as a result of the nerves, before composing herself and walking out to her piano and the waiting audience. Even here, in this tiny, cramped air raid shelter, 7 days into the Blitz, as the intensive bombing night after night by the Germans was being called, she hid whatever fear she may have felt, doing her best to appear calm. DCI Coburg, or to give him his full title, the Honourable Edgar Waltimer Septimus Saxe Coburg, and Rosa Weeks, the celebrated jazz singer, had been married just 2 weeks before at Hampstead Registry Office. A very simple ceremony, no families in attendance, just Coburg's detective sergeant Ted Lampson as his best man, and Maisie Oxley, a fellow musician friend of Rosa's who played saxophone in Ivy Benson's all-girl big band, witnessing for Rosa. Rosa's family were in Edinburgh, and both Edgar and Rosa felt it was too dangerous for them to travel to London while the bombing continued, especially as the main railway line seemed to be a major target for the Luftwaffe, and Edgar had decided against involving his elder brother Magnus, the Earl of Dawlish, because he was sure that Magnus would insist on the wedding being held at the family's ancestral home, Dawlish Hall, and that would only lead to rows, as Edgar and Rosa both wanted a quiet occasion. The Anderson shelter shook again as another bomb struck nearby, and there was the sound of rubble crashing down on the protective earth covering of the corrugated iron roof, causing the occupants of the shelter to exchange nervous looks. "They should open the tube stations as shelters," scowled Eric Henderson. "We've got the deepest in the whole system here at Hampstead Station. What is it, 250 feet deep?" 192 feet, said Walter Marsden quietly, adding an apologetic smile to take the edge off correcting his neighbour. "I work for London Underground," he explained. "Then why don't you get them to open the stations during air raids?" demanded Henderson. "It's not my decision," said Marsden. "That's down to the government, and I get the impression they're worried that if they do, the whole mass of London will disappear down them and remain there." "Nonsense!" snorted Henderson. "Eric's right," said Norma Henderson, backing her husband up as she